executive meeting. Can everyone present in the chamber make sure you switch your mobile phones to silent and turn the sound off when you're tablets and laptops. Meeting is being live streamed via YouTube, so members of the public are able to follow proceedings. And before we start this evening's meeting, I would like to take the opportunity to remind members that we are subject to the Council's Code of Conduct, which requires us to uphold certain standards, including, importantly, respect. I've asked all members, I've asked them before, I'll ask them again, to not talk over each other and take direction from the chair when you're invited to speak, and we'll have a managed meeting. And I look forward to that. Members may not always agree with each other, but would ask that in our disagreements, we endeavour to always be respectful to others' views. I'd also like to ask members of the public attending this meeting, good evening, Mr. Pearce, not to interrupt or speak outside your designated speaking slots. You know the form. Okay, we have apologies from what I'm told here, Councillors Heather Codling and Nigel Foote. And I think that's probably everybody, yeah. Okay, I don't think we have any portfolio holder. Councillor Abbs.
Yes, Councillor Taylor has sent his apology. He can't make it this evening.
Thank you for that. I'm not sure we do actually record apologies from opposition members, but if we do, that'll go in the record. Yeah. Okay. So portfolio holder announcements, I don't think there are any. The minutes, are members willing to accept the previous minutes and accurate record of the meeting held on the 21st of May 2026? I wasn't here, so I'm going to be looking for other members to propose in a second. Proposed by Councillor Gawley, seconded by Councillor Paul. All those in favour, I will abstain. Thank you, that's carried. I'll sign them later, Nikki. I noticed they're here to be signed. Item 4, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? Mr. Child, what have I got? We got another minutes of the 11th of June. Okay. So I was here for that one. An accurate record of the extraordinary meeting held on the 11th of June 2026. I'm happy to propose those. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Clark. All those in favour? All done. Declarations of interest, Mr. Child.
No declarations received in advance, Leader, but are there any from the floor?
Okay. From the floor? No. Okay. Public questions. I'd like to thank all members of the public that have submitted questions for this evening's executive meeting. I will now do what I ask people to do and turn down the volume on my laptop. And welcome to them, those who are here. We may have some. Do we have any on Teams, Zoom in waiting area? I've got Mrs. Saunderson likely to be here.
Paula Saunderson is present.
Okay. And you know that your question, member of the public, will appear on screen, be answered by the relevant portfolio holder. Then you'll have the opportunity to give a supplementary question. And this must be to clarify the response and not to introduce any new business. Time limit for public questions is 30 minutes. I expect to get through these tonight, but Nikki Thomas will keep me posted on timings. Where we can't provide an answer, or if the questioner is not here, there will be a written response within 5 clear working days. So the first question I've got up is from Mrs. Saunderson, Paula Saunderson. The question is now on the screen. We're told that Mrs. Saunderson is here. So Councillor Paul will answer this question, I believe.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Ms. Saunderson, for your question. So your question has highlighted that there is a discrepancy between the statutory pay policy and posts listed within the Constitution. This has arisen as posts have changed over time. As a result, we have reviewed the list of posts and identified the following roles as chief officers in accordance with the definition of Localism Act 2011 and the Government Act and the Government and Housing Act 1989. So we have the chief executive, which is known as the head of paid service, the monitoring officer, 4 statutory chief officers, which is the section 155, 151 officer, director of children's services, director of adult social services, director of public health, and 1 non-statutory chief officer, which is the director of place, executive director of place, pardon. We also have 8 service directors, which are within children's social care, children's social care, education and SEND, strategy and governance, transformation, customer and ICT, adult social care, environment, community services, development and housing. We've also got 5 service leads, which I can list if required. The grand total comes to 20 roles. As part of the ongoing review by the Constitution Working Group, these references will be reviewed and documents updated at the next opportunity. Do you have a supplementary?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can I hear you, Mrs. Saunderson? Miss Saunderson?
Hiya.
Hope you
Yeah,
heard the answer.
That's great. Yeah. The 5 service leads are right, and you can tell me what those are. But that's great that we've now finally got all the documents since January's thing, and then the extraordinary meeting which said 23, and then the answers to me which said 42. We finally come up with a number of 20, and that will be reflected in all your documentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Saunderson. The next one B is Paul Morgan, but this will be a written answer. Mr. Morgan is not with us at the moment. C is Alan Pearce to Councillor Cottingham. Mr. Pearce will come forward, as is the normal way. And Ms. Cottingham, Councillor Cottingham, be ready to answer, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your question, Mr. Pearce. A capital budget of 1.25 million was built in the financial year 25-26 in respect of the 3G pitch at Faraday Road. The budget was built as fully funded via SIL, developer funding, and remains fully funded via SIL. Do you have a supplementary question?
Use your microphone, Alan, please.
Yeah, sorry. The purpose of a capital budget is so the public can see where money is being spent and where it's coming from. The executive made a decision to put 650,000 into 26-27, and that's a key decision that can only be taken by the executive. Somebody made a decision to put the whole budget, 1.25 million, into 25-26 budget. Can you tell me who made that decision and who had the authority to make that decision, in the interest of transparency?
So what we have during the process of building the budget, we have various meetings where the officers propose what the budget is going to look like from a capital expenditure, and it then comes to executive to either approve or not approve. So we have a constant process of evaluating what the capital budget is going to be and how that funding is going to be financed.
And which officer was that made that decision?
So at the time, that officer is no longer with us, who was part of that process of proposing what the capital budget was going to be.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pearce. Ms. Saunderson, I think, is up again to Councillor Paul.
Forgive me, Chair, my word is frozen 1 moment.
I'm here, but I can't hear anything.
How are you here,
Yeah.
Ms. Saunderson? We're answering momentarily.
Sorry, Ms.
Okay,
Saunderson.
thank you.
Had a bit of a moment. So thank you very much for your question, Ms. Saunderson. So there are 4 chief officers that receive an additional allowance for their responsibilities relating to their statutory roles, in addition to their substantive posts. Do you have a supplementary?
No, thank you. As long as it's all clear now, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
The next one is Paul Morgan, again, a written answer. And the next one is Mr. Pearce, if you'd like to come forward. I'm going to give you an answer in Councillor Foot's absence. And this one is on Faraday Road. You make the point here that the bulk of the spend will happen at the end of 26-27 football season, not the end of season 25-26. this means the spend will occur in 27, 28. That's not necessarily true. We are pressing on with the planning application for the 3G pitch and ready to let the contract as soon as possible thereafter. I think all the questions you ask here in terms of the final construction costs, sinking fund costs, business case, will all come through or final sign off at an executive meeting and is not ready tonight. So watch this space.
My question is, Annie Cottingham, in an answer to a public question, did say there'll be a report coming to executive. So can you tell me when this report on Faraday Road will come to executive, outlining all the budget, where the money's coming from?
As soon as possible.
There will be one.
As soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then the next one is G, again, Ms Saunderson to Mrs Poole.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Ms Saunderson, again for your question. So you are absolutely correct that Part 12 highlights four key statutory roles that the Council is required to designate in law. These reflect the corporate statutory officer roles that sit in the centre of the Council governance framework. And namely, those positions are Head of Paid Service, the Chief Exec, the Monitoring Officer, the Section 151 Officer, and the Scrutiny Officer. You've also noted that other roles such as the Director of Children's Services, Director of Adult Social Services, and the Director of Public Health are established roles within legislation that is also accurate. The reason these roles do not appear in the same section of the Constitution is largely one of representation and categorisation rather than status. In many authorities, including West Berkshire, these roles are recognised as statutory within their respective areas, are referenced in relevant legislation and operational arrangements, but are not always grouped alongside the core corporate statutory posts within the Constitution. Different councils take different approaches to this. Some unitary authorities choose to list all statutory roles together for clarity, while others distinguish between corporate governance roles, central statutory officers, and service-specific statutory roles, such as the Director of Children's Services, Director of Adult Director of Adult Services, and Director of Public Health. Your observation is therefore a valid one, and there is merit in considering whether the current constitutional presentation provides sufficient visibility of all statutory roles. This is something that can be reviewed as part of the Council's ongoing governance and constitutional maintenance process to ensure clarity, transparency, and alignment with best practice across the sector. And I want to thank you personally for raising the point. It's noted. Thank you. And forgive me, do you have a supplementary?
No, that's fine. I think these are really important roles, so to group them with the others would be pretty correct for those roles, I think. Thank you very much for answering the question.
Thank you, Ms Saunderson.
And Ms Saunderson again to Councillor Gaines.
Yeah. Good evening, Ms Saunderson. Thank you for your question. So the development at Sanford Park West has an S106 obligation to contribute towards the playing pitches at Hennickworthy and Faraday Road to the sum of 30,000. There are also other developments with more general S106 money obligations to contribute to open space facilities generally, which would include sports and leisure facilities too. The timing of commencement of schemes and projects and the timing of commencement of developments which trigger receipts of the contribution may impact allocation of those funds to certain projects. The developer contribution team, in collaboration with the finance team, will ensure all funds are allocated appropriately. Do you have a supplementary?
Are you there, Ms Saunderson?
Mute. Right, am I there?
You are, I can hear you.
Sorry, the unmute keeps coming up in different places.
Get my answer.
Yeah, I did. Thank you, Denise. So in the infrastructure funding statements issued by South Oxfordshire, Bracknell and Wokingham, there's a lot more detail and it's much clearer for residents who can see what developments are producing, what Section 106 and SIL agreements to be allocated. So when you do that funding statement again in December, can you look at doing it in a bit more comprehensive way, especially for tables 5 and 7, which have some pretty large generic titles in them, like 3.7 million, etc. So that would be my suggestion, is for transparency. And I know you have to have a system to record it all, so it's just pulling stuff off a system and putting it clearer in an infrastructure funding statement. Thank you.
No problem with doing that at all. Thank you. Thanks for the suggestion.
And you're up again, Ms Saunderson, on I, and this is to Councillor Gaines as well.
Thank you again for your question. The Community Infrastructure Levy is charged in accordance with the adopted Community Infrastructure Levy charging schedule. On a significant number of development schemes, on average, we collect around 4 million annually. For the town boundary of Newbury, its 1.5 million has been collected in the last financial year, 25-26. SIL is allocated to projects in accordance with the SIL regulations, which allows it to be used to support a wide range of infrastructure across the district, including sports facilities such as the football pitches. Do you have a supplementary?
Ms Saunderson? Can you hear us?
Here we go. Here we go. It's appeared in a different place. Sorry. And there's a delay on the line, obviously. Leaves on the line. Yeah, it's the wording, and it's not your wording, it's the government's word, the in the vicinity, which gives rise to quite a question, is how far is in the vicinity? But I'm sure that you have it all in hand and all buttoned down on where in the vicinity is going to help with the 1.13 million for Faraday Road football ground. So thank you for answering the question.
Thank you, Mrs. Saunderson.
Okay, thank you for those questions, members of the public. On to item 6, petitions. Are there any petitions, Mr. Chard? Okay. Item 7, the financial performance report out term, pages 31 to 56. I will ask the leader of the opposition here, who I've noticed certainly 4 questions on the members' questions later in the meeting appear to be on the out term. It might be 5. Did you particularly want them as members' questions? We could pick them up within the body of the report now.
Surprised to hear that offer, Leader. I'm told that executive is not for scrutiny, and that's why I've submitted so many members' questions, so that we can actually scrutinise some of the reports tonight. It seems like you're making up the rules as you go along.
Do you want them answered now or later?
No, I'll wait till members' questions. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Councillor Cottingham.
Thank you, Chair. Right, so we discussed this report earlier on this week in scrutiny. So I won't go into a tremendous amount of detail because we're covering old ground. As I say, within the report, the recommendations are on pages 31 to 32, 2.1 to 2.5. However, there is one item just to bring everyone's awareness to since Monday. Since then, the draft statutory accounts have been published onto our website. And within this report, it shows an adverse variance of 5.5 million to the original budget. However, the statutory accounts are showing a 3.6 adverse variance to the budget. That is due to a financial accounting adjustment for IFRS 16 leases. I won't go into too much technical detail, but this is a IFRS which will probably bore everyone apart from myself and Councillor McKinnon. But in reality, this is deferring a cost to the balance sheet relating to leases, namely Birchwood care homes. It doesn't have any cash benefit. It doesn't impact the required IFRS of 16.8 million. It's more of a technical adjustment making to the statutory accounts, whereas this is more management accounts reporting. So that ends my introduction to the report.
Thank you. And I think it's merit-worthy to say to the officers that the management of the budget certainly bore down on that forecast overspend of 9 million to get it down to 5.5, still an overspend, about 3% of the whole budget, is laudable. And I thank officers for their efforts on achieving that. Any other comments from executive at this time? Councillor McKinnon will take your questions at the end, as you suggested. Any other questions from Councillor Abbs?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a little one, really. I guess the budget estimate was 12 months ago, 1.25. I'm just wondering how we're looking at some kind of revised cost and when that will be known, because obviously this is financial outturn, but as we go through the next two items as well, how certain are we about the amount of money?
Councillor Collingham?
Sorry, can you re-clarify your question? Are you talking about EFS requirement? So what were you?
The estimated budget was 1.25 for this particular thing down at Faraday Road. So,
okay.
So yeah, and the report was written over 12 months ago, or is 12 months ago here in July, and it's not going to be delivered because it's being pushed out for another 12. When's a fresh report with a real number coming along?
So I know at the moment we're going through to assess what the revised costs are going to be, which will then be brought to this committee. So I must admit, I don't have that level of detail. I know the process is being carried out at the moment.
Well, but the obvious kind of worrying factor here is that as this is fully funded out of SIL, then have we got enough in the pot? How do we allocate more money if we don't know? So the sooner we find out, the better, really, isn't it?
Well, as you heard me say to Mr. Pearce, that will come through as soon as possible to executive.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Okay. Yeah. Right, I think probably through this item then. It did come to scrutiny on Monday evening, I'm aware. And we have some members' questions about it later on in the evening. So I'm moving on. Thank you, Councillor Cottingham. I'm just noting this, Nikki. So noted, members. Thank you. Council strategy refresh, page 57 to 78. Members, this one is an appropriate thing to do every year. And with a sense of 3 years into the administrative cycle, what has been delivered, what might reasonably be deleted because circumstances have changed, and what might be refreshed. Again, this came through, I think, to scrutiny the other evening, and all executive is doing this evening, and we will need a proposer, I'll propose it, and a seconder, is to approve the report to be referred to council for consideration. So this will still come through to council, I believe, Nikki, on the July the 16th. That's the pathway. So members, again, I think there are questions, member questions later. So that may be the way that we take this item. Any questions from executive? Yeah, I've got executive. No, okay. Councillor Marsh. Can you hear us, Councillor Marsh?
But no, I couldn't get myself heard. I have now. Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Well, now that I've heard that we're going to be discussing this at full council, which is a great relief, then I'll save my fire for that, because there are elements of this that I find very surprising. But I could ask tonight, for example, why you've removed the number of LEA maintained schools, which was kind of a thing that when you're in opposition, supported by us, this was an important issue, that you didn't want all the schools to become academised, and yet the fact that quite a lot have suggests that to me, that's why you've dropped it from the strategy, and I don't see why. So that's my question. And similarly, the number of community forums being held, there haven't been many. That seems to have been dropped.
The first question on schools, not quite a lot have been academised. There have been a couple, and we're disappointed there was a couple, including one that you were involved in at John Rankin.
Correct.
Very disappointing. But with the government seem to be blowing hot and cold on academies. One month they seem to be keen for more academies to come about, and then suddenly they're not particularly promoting them. Until we get a bit more clarity Councillor Marsh. It's difficult to set targets to say how many we want to stay in. But let me make it perfectly clear, as I have since we took over, we do not want any of our schools to go academy. We do not want any of our schools to go academy. I can't be more straight than that. We'll certainly be aware when they do, if and when they do, but that is our position, always has been and remains so.
Okay, can I just ask one further question then, and I won't take more of your time with this.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to this, there are other items that have been removed, which I'll talk about at full council. But in addition to that, there are things in here that are just routine things that the council's always done. I mean, the members' bid scheme, even the Tories managed to run that reasonably efficiently. The highways asset management plan, this is an annual thing that's done routinely. I don't understand why it's found its way into the strategy document.
Revved up now, Councillor Marshall. Let me slow you down a little bit. Did you mention members' bids just a moment ago? Did he?
He did.
Right.
We couldn't do it.
And we've just gone through the members' bids only a week ago, and you should have been made aware of the outcome of them so that they can be actually implemented a lot quicker than they have been hitherto. The whole position has been streamlined. There is no need for match funding. It's still an option for bidders, but it's not essential. I think we've streamlined it dramatically. We've made it more easy for officers to support them rather than agonise over every one of them. So I'm not sure what you're driving at. What was the other one? Back to you, Councillor Marsh.
Well, the other one was the highways assets management plan, which, like the members' bid scheme, is something that the council has been doing routinely, and I just don't see quite why it's
still doing
its
it.
way into a strategy document.
Hold on, we're still doing it. It doesn't mean because it isn't a strategy, we're not doing it. Councillor Gawley.
It is in there.
No, hold on. Councillor Gawley.
I think it's really important to highlight what a strategy document actually is, and that's around change, growth, and long-term objectives. And I think things like members' bids, the highways improvement plan, asset management plan, etc., they are business as usual activity. And I think it shows good maturity in our processes that they no longer need to be in a strategy because they're just part of the day-to-day DNA of an organisation. So I don't think you need to be concerned, Councillor Marsh. And we're specifically with the asset management plan, that one is coming to the first highways improvement group for review and commentary ahead of adoption. But I think it's really key. Strategies around long-term objectives. You know, a lot of the stuff you highlight there is what I would classify as BAU activity, to be honest.
I spent a little bit more time with Beatrice Texera earlier, and I'm inclined to put round another short report outside of the sort of council report, just on why some of these have been dropped. Take, for instance, the number of young people attending involved in work experience and project work opportunities, really important, really important. But in terms of this part of the strategy, funding for the work was from the transformation programme, and that came to an end. So now we're looking at transformation 2.0. That's coming through very quickly. It may be that we're looking to put more money back into that. So some come to a natural end of cycle and then need to be regenerated, if you like. So I notice I've got you, Councillor McKenna, but you've got questions later. So I'll take Councillor Abbs.
Thank you very much. A couple of minor things, and hopefully not too much of a problem. Sorry, this, am I? Okay, all right, thank you.
Carry on, Councillor.
The covering report cites appendix version 4.2, but the actual attached appendix is labelled as 6.2, and I'm just wondering which version actually people saw when before they came to here tonight.
I'll ask Beatrice. Can you switch your mic on, please, Beatrice?
I think I heard typo, but the 4 and the 6 aren't next to each other on the keyboard, so it's a big typo.
I do apologize.
Oh, no, not looking for an apology, just looking for an explanation.
And I can give both. The correct number would be the 6.2, which was the latest version. And again, I'd apologize to you and other members for that mistake.
There's a couple of other minor things, but if you want to take someone else, okay, thank you.
You've got the floor, Councillor Abbs. He'll have the floor later when he gets to his members' questions. That's how he decided to manage the meeting. Councillor Abs.
Yeah, I guess it's really these comments go across 8 and 9, so I'll get them all out of the way now. The funding round pitch funding in amount, we have nothing in 8 and nothing in 9, except for it's the largest still slippage in the programme, so I'm a little surprised we don't have it as a line item. That's more of an observation, I suppose, than anything else. Reprofiling of the Faraday Road football pitch. Again, it's not mentioned in 8 or 9, but it's a big thing that's going on. Bond Riverside capital budget is marked as completed, but item 8 in item 8, but it's a live budget that's slipping from item 7. So I'm just looking through the documentation and finding that doesn't quite match up in my head. So I'm looking for a little bit. And again,
Tell us what
I'm
you're
looking for
because
better information because if we're going to have a council strategy and a performance measure afterwards, then surely we'd have line items for them in the strategy and in the.
Beatrice Texera will get back to you about it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
There is some others. Shall I share them with? Who shall I share them with?
Beatrice Texera.
Hello there. Thank you.
Councillor Joe Stewart.
Thank you. And potentially this has sort of been answered previously, but one of the items that is due for removal is one that I'm very interested in. It's the number of health and all policies champions active across West Berks, but I'm guessing potentially that means they're actually in place now. And from Councillor Gawley's explanation, your strategy should have new things that need to be delivered. Would I be right?
Well, I'm trying to understand the question really. There are champions that still exist. Patrick, you were nodding. Do you want to come in there?
Yeah, I mean, we've got people filling those roles now. So
give me an example.
We've got Taneshi, I can't remember his surname. Apologies, but we do.
I don't know names. I don't know names. It's just that it appears, much like with Councillor Marsh was thinking, it can appear that it means that we've given that up. But actually what we're saying is it's brilliant because we've actually got these in place now. And it feels like that opportunity's been missed.
Mr. Coe, to confirm. Mr. Coe, please switch your mic on.
Yeah, confirmed. And Taneshi Jonga was the person that council.
Does that help, Joe?
It does, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Somner.
Thank you, Leader. I sort of picking up the same points from picking up on the point that you made as well, just at a higher level. I think you said you were going to put in an additional report, you were considering an additional report. I think that the thing is, looking at this from the outside, if you're not involved in the business, it's very easy to say, well, these aren't completed, otherwise they'd be in the completed section. So are they business as usual? Are they change of requirement? Is it come to the end of its life cycle? Something like that on each of the lines would probably help members and residents understand exactly what it is that you've already, I think, touched on.
I agree. And we will make sure that that accompanies what will be the actual glossy, if you like, that is the council's strategy refresh, and that'll accompany it. Beatrice, the stuff we talked about today, we'll add in to the final report that goes towards council, and then the changes will become very clear. Why have we removed something? Why have we refreshed it? So that is something we will add in. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm going to take your questions at the end in members' questions. I'm moving on.
I have different questions this item, Leader. Point of order. Are you seriously refusing to take a question from the Leader of the Opposition as Executive? I'm not sure you want to be in that position.
Well, I'm going to ask you.
That's outrageous. I don't know.
Thank you. We're moving on.
Any other members have got comments on this?
Councillor McKinnon.
You're refusing to hear from the Leader of the Opposition.
Show some respect for the chair.
I'm showing respect for the chair, that the chair is showing respect for me.
I am showing respect to you. Okay, I'm moving on. We'll go on to the next item then, which is the performance report Q4, page 79. Councillor Poole to introduce report.
Thank you, Leader. So this report is for the last quarter's worth of data regarding the council in terms of their performance. It contains all of the performance matrices that we are looking to change for on the last year. It's the last set of reports, and it's the last report in this way. We are going to be using the new strategies or the new reporting matrices as discussed from the previous item. This report has previously been through scrutiny on Monday, where we have fielded some questions from the opposition and the rest of the scrutiny committee. And we are bringing it here today to gather feedback from the whole executive and the opposition. There are some items in here, so you'll notice that we have some high performing matrices that are there. We've got some that are red, some that are green, and some that are amber. All of the matrices there have got comments from officers within the relevant departments to say what they're going to do to try and bring that back to a more favourable status. And I'm happy to take questions from the floor. I also note, Chair, that during the scrutiny session on Monday, not all of the portfolio holders were with me because they all had other commitments or some had other commitments. And we are not yet today at a full contingent. We are missing a couple of members. So Heather Codling, for children's, we received some questions from Councillor McKinnon regarding some of the children's areas. But I am working on getting a written response on the elements that he raised. But I'm happy to receive other questions from other high performing matrices.
Well, I think, thank you for that, Councillor Paul. I think it's reasonable for the portfolio holders where they do have some reds on their performance. Councillor Gawley to come in, for instance, on potholes. I think we should explain those by portfolio holder. They're quite clear in there. There is a good narrative on where we are with them and what we're going to do to remedy that. But I think each of them, and they're very clear, should be picked up by a portfolio holder in terms of transparency. So could you kick that one off, Councillor Gawley?
Yeah, happy to. I know that we've discussed this one previously in the past a few times, and the poor performance in Q1, which was down to supply chain challenges, has really dragged down the overall end of year position on the permanent pothole repairs completed. It's all kind of a positive through the middle two quarters, with near enough 100% achievement in Q2 and Q3, but Q4 has also let us down as we move back into that winter period, and it's certainly something that we will, be working with our contractors, both incumbent and incoming, to ensure that supply chain is as robust as possible to mitigate that going forward. And I think it's also important to highlight, and I would add, what this doesn't take into account is the investment across the entire network. And actually our roads are improving overall in terms of the entire 1,300 kilometre network, especially in our A's and B's, and hopefully the unclassified when we get the data on that one. So important to bear it in context.
Great to that. Beatrice, on something like the plain pitch strategy, it was behind schedule, but it's now because of this reporting, actually, isn't it? Because you're at Q4 here, aren't you?
Yes, it's because of the format. So according to the methodology, if one date is set as target, we capture the comment, any achievement in the comment, but the reg status is not affected.
Yeah. Councillor Gaines, on affordable homes, you're just about there. But anything to add on that one, please? So you got 146 out of 150, so you're amber, but a downward trend.
I'd like to build the other 4 houses, actually, Chairman.
Yeah, sure.
No, we have had a slowdown in housing, house building, and actually then therefore affordable homes as well.
So are you saying that this could be a trend?
I think looking at the economic situation across the world, I can't actually say for sure.
You're not confident that, yeah, I understand.
I'm hoping that we are actually ahead of our target for to 2030.
Yes.
In the number of houses there, but I'm hoping it's going to improve, and I think I've got some coming online in the very near future.
I think you have as well. We're not going to say which sites at the moment. No. And of course, we may have an incoming Prime Minister who wants to build lots of council houses.
We may indeed.
We shall have to wait and see that. Okay. Councillor Gawley, I think we're quite close to moving to a decision on Graiseley Solar Farm with a new business case. It is behind, but I believe that there is progress you might want to just
absolutely.
allude to without giving absolute precise dates.
Yeah, so we are looking to bring that business case through to scrutiny and executive in September, Chair.
Right. Councillor Ebbs.
Thank you very much.
Is it about Graiseley?
No.
No, all right, I take a bit later. I'm still
But
going
I'll take
through.
full
I
credit
thought
when
it
it
was
eventually
a
arrives.
response to
of
that.
course. Yeah,
Okay.
no problem
Okay.
at all. No, these.
No, come back later because I just want to go through some more ambers. Hold the thought, if you don't mind. Okay. What's HB 15, guys? Percentage of referrals allocated without any waiting time. Yeah, you're close, aren't you?
Half percentage away, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll come to that later on with extra investments.
Yes, thank you. And the corporate transformation programme. Now, members will recall, Councillor Abbs, Councillor McKinnon amongst them, that we went through a transformation. That we went through a transformation policy development group, and a report will be coming to a special meeting of executive on the 23rd of July. 2 weeks today. Do I need the running commentary? Will you show some respect, please?
I'll show you the respect you're giving me.
Then you're going to continue to disrupt the meeting, are you?
I'd like to raise a point of order, Chairman.
Well, I don't want to take it, so I'm moving on. So on the 23rd of July, we will have a special executive, one item, I think, Nikki, just on Transformation 2.0, the Transformation Policy Development Group, their findings to move transformation on. So I'm directly alluding to behind schedule target 310326 on the corporate transformation programme. That will come through. I'm grateful to the members on that Transformation Policy Development Group.
Point of order, Chairman.
I think we did some good work.
Point of order, Chairman.
Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you. The Leader of the Opposition is a constitutionally recognised role in West Berkshire Council's constitution, which carries with it a special responsibility allowance. And the role of the Leader of the Opposition is to impose democratic scrutiny of the administration. I would urge you, in the best spirit, to take my questions for the rest of this meeting.
Councillor McKinnon, where you have asked questions as a member of the council that relate to an item, as you have with the financial performance report and the council refresh strategy, I asked you if you wanted to weave those into the item as it was delivered.
No, on one item you did.
Now you're
Peter.
interrupting me.
Well, I am, because you're wrong.
Then will you please stop interrupting the chair? And I said, okay, we'll take those questions then. I'm sure you're quite capable of weaving in any other questions into your supplementaries when we get later into the evening. Some of these reports have been through scrutiny on Monday, so they've had a good public airing. Then tonight you have a bunch of questions in, you've chosen to put those in. We will take those as we should, as our constitution. You're talking.
If you have member questions, you cannot speak on the item. I think you made that up.
You're talking over the chair.
Because I have to.
As you all want to do. Now, that is inappropriate. You know that. Now, in an item where you haven't asked a member's question, I'm going to take your question.
That's not the rule.
Okay. It's the rule of the chair.
Your CEO and monitoring officer are here.
It is the rule I am imposing tonight, sir. And in fact, your party had rules about one question and one question only.
This is about you,
right?
And a disgraceful running away.
Will you please stop talking when the chair is stopped? Will you give me that respect, please?
You give me the respect I deserve as Leader of the Opposition.
No, Councillor McKinnon, I'm afraid managing a meeting with you in it has become almost impossible. And if you're going to continue with this challenge to the chair and the lack of respect to the chair, there will come a time where I may have to ask you to leave.
Physician, heal thyself.
So, you know, it's unfortunate we appear to be heading in that way because you will not come here.
Does your executive support you not taking questions?
In terms of me managing the meeting, it's just one challenge after another. So I'm not sure I'm going to actually, you know.
Well, that's marvellous, isn't it?
I'm going to get on with the meeting, Nick.
Let's ignore the monitoring officer.
So I've got another one here that I'll ask perhaps Ian Cottingham to pick up. And while he is answering this, this is on Bond Riverside. Will you take that? What am I looking at?
Sorry, Chair, I can't see it on the report.
This one is HP 22 and it's commission and complete a marketing exercise for Bond Riverside. That is now complete and members know that because they saw it executive. But again, it's late here because this is at the end of Q4. Yeah. So just to clear these up. Now, Councillor McKinnon, I'll come back to you if I may. I'm asking you to help me to manage a meeting and show respect for each other. But in our constitution, meeting rules, there is a general assumption that councillors who are not members of a body, and you're not a member of the executive, but attended a meeting of that body will at the absolute discretion and upon the invitation of the meeting chairman be permitted to speak at the meeting. So it is upon my invitation. Will you respect that, please?
I will respect, as long as you respect the look that it's giving to everyone watching.
You want to come in, didn't you?
Yes, thank you very much. Just a couple of things that I'd like to see some measures on, if that's at all possible. Obviously, the SIL underspend and the slippage and so on, it's a fairly big amount now. What is it, 1.779640 in total? It would be good to see a measure of that in the performance report. Then we can judge how well we're doing or not. And of course, the playing pitch strategy, that's HP6, is late, according to the report anyway. It mentions Cotswold and Hennick-Worthy, but it doesn't mention Faraday Road. So it'd be worth kind of maybe putting Faraday Road in there as part of that performance measure as well. It would be nice for us all to know what's happening.
Okay. Thank you. Members, I think we're giving the performance report an airing. We did it at scrutiny. I shall move on. What am I supposed to do with this? Note the progress. Thank you, members. Item 10, automatic fire suppression. This is pretty close to my heart, this one, with my involvement with the fire service. And there was a policy in place, but I didn't feel it was as strong as it should be. And I'm... Yeah. And I'm going to move on to the criteria that we will now adopt. I'll propose it myself. I think Councillor Cottingham will second it. Councillor Burke.
Sorry, Chairman, I thought we were on the strategy refresh. Did I miss the performance report?
We've just done the performance report.
I thought that was the strategy. I didn't
hear
that was. I didn't hear it introduced.
You saw me go through the reds and the ambers. Well, you heard me go through the reds and the ambers.
Apologies.
So I wanted to draw attention, members, to the criteria that will be used in the future in terms of the automatic fire sprinkler suppression systems. And it'd be good if I could find my place, wouldn't it? So on page 140 of your papers, Chair, members, on page 140, let's be clear on what we're doing here. The automatic fire suppression system policy will apply when all the following criteria relate to a given project. Now, I think this is reasonable criteria, and I think most of our buildings will meet the criteria of size and substance. Clearly, they've got to be in our freehold ownership or be on a long lease. Only apply to new buildings, extensions, or major refurbishments, and a reasonably permanent nature, about 10 years of operational use. Creates or refurbishes space of 500 square metres or more, or 50% of gross internal area for buildings less than 500 square metres. So a clear criteria on size and scale. Applies to projects with a gross project value. So the value of the building, 350,000. Applies when the estimated cost of the automatic fire suppression system less than 5% of the construction budget. Having discussed this with the fire service, this would be within good tolerance levels. This is not a way of making it too expensive to install them. But also, our policy will apply to all new care homes and all new schools. If we were to lose a school, it might be overnight and there isn't a risk and threat to human life, but the disruption to our children would be significant if you've lost the buildings. So, members, I'm really pleased to see this change of emphasis from almost reasons not to do it to reasons that actually you pretty well have to do it. And one that might be caught quite early, Councillor Gaines, might be Chestnut Walk. Because if this policy goes through this evening, then it will start to be applied, Mrs. Lawrence, I would hope, in planning applications pretty quickly. Okay, so very keen on this. Members, happy? Councillor Cottingham, happy?
Absolutely. I think one of the things also just to bear in mind is that surely our insurance costs will reduce to the fact that the cost of covering a building which it burns down to the ground is going to be significantly greater than, as I say, any potential water damage putting the fire out.
Absolutely. And having seen demonstrations of this at the fire service, sprinkler systems they're going to save lives, they're going to save property, the investment. There may, I would imagine, be some sort of insurance upside as well if the insurance company knows the building has sprinklers. But I'm not going to go into underwriting of insurance claims. So thank you for that, members. And I'm going to take the vote on that now, if I may. All those, sorry, Councillor Abs.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. So just to say, absolutely 100% behind what's going on here. It's a slam dunk. I just think it's a pity we can't do it retrospectively. Maybe it would have helped those people at David Wilson Homes that are undergoing the issue that they're facing right now. But yeah, 100% behind this. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of thought retrospectively, but I think when there's a major refurbishment, that's when you would tackle it. All those in favour? Thank you, members. The next one is item 11. This is the Response for Resource and Place Scrutiny Committee Task and Finish Group on Project Management. And I'd like to thank all the members who are involved in this. I think it's a good piece of work. It's got 25 recommendations, and I don't think there's any that the executive wouldn't wish to support. They're all there in terms of what we... Mr. Mancini may wish to add something, but I felt that they were all very, very sensible. And some of them, I think, and you may wish to just give a couple of examples of where they have been implemented already. Could you do that for me?
Yes.
I'm going to have to take a proposer and a seconder on this one. So I'll propose it. And I think Mrs. Poole will be pleased to second it with her IT and project management background. And I think she's hearing me as I said that. Yeah, thank you. Gabrielle.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Leader. So I think two of the biggest improvements that we've seen to our assurance in respect of project management that have been included within these recommendations relate to more effective business case development and a clearer link to return on investment, which of course is very important in light of our financial position. And I think the other thing is that the structure of the team and the recommendation that there is more consistent practice with how project managers are acting and managing projects is something that we've brought in. The administration was very clear that there was a need to have that consistent practice and sought to rationalise all of the project managers into that central team. And I think that that has improved our assurance greatly. And to give a third, with your permission, Chair, I would point to the fact that we are more effectively learning the lessons of projects that may have not gone as well as we'd like to have done in the past by undertaking 4 health checks on projects within the organisation every single month and compiling those into a central record that then has Power BI capability running over it so that that learning can be transferred into future projects so that we're not making the same mistakes multiple times.
Yes, and I've got Councillor Reid online, and I'm grateful to you, Councillor Reid. I believe you probably did lead or chaired the task and finish group. But take number 2, for instance, the council must look 24 months ahead to identify where software support agreements for business critical systems are due to expire and procure replacement in good time. A contract register, and not just actually software. I think you're talking in other areas as well. Councillor Reid, did you want to add anything at all on this?
No, I'd just like to thank all the people on the task and finish group and all the officers who presented evidence and came along and were very open and candid about what went wrong, but also all the things that went well. You know, there are a lot of good things already in projects, and the ability to turn around failing projects in short time, that was well demonstrated as well. So I think it was great really to hear from people on the at the coalface.
Good piece of work. Councillor Abt.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to extend a thanks to Councillor Reid, who chaired the meetings very well, if I may say so. I think it worked. I was on that as well myself. I think one of the reasons it worked so well is that cross-party, there were experts who were still in the field and able to bring current knowledge to the results that we got out of this. So thanks to the members from the Conservative Party who were there, thanks to the Lib Dems who were there, with Councillor Reid doing a very good chair, and obviously I represented the minority group, but it was a real pleasure to take part in something that gave a pretty good result, I think.
Any other points or comments from the members? Councillor Paul, did you wish to add anything as seconder, please?
I noticed the great number of action items that have been listed within this report, and it really does look, and credit to Councillor Reid, just the level of detail that's gone in throughout this report and the work that has been done. I'm really looking forward to seeing these come through to fruition, and I know that Ms Mancini is so passionate about the transformation project and all of the project managers. It's wonderful to see this come through, Chair.
Okay, positive all round, I think. All those in favour? Brilliant, thanks a lot. Item 12, the spatial development strategy. Councillor Gaines, I think you're introducing this.
Does this need a proposal? And yes, it does. Okay, so
Yes, apparently it does. I must go back to my crib notes.
I'd like to propose it, Chairman.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor McCann? Oh, seamless this, isn't it? Well done. Back to you then, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So this report seeks the approval of Executive to establish a joint partnership across Berkshire, Oxfordshire, Swindon councils to develop a statutory Thames Valley spatial development strategy. This SDD will provide a high-level spatial framework for growth, infrastructure, investment opportunities, and alignment across local planning authorities. It is an early stage report. We're hoping to get secondary legislation later. I'll come into that. The Planning and Infrastructure Act of 2025 introduced the statutory requirement of designated strategic planning authorities to prepare an SDS, with governments aiming to have all of them examined nationally by 2030. Government consultation has identified a preferred Thames Valley SDS, geography including Berkshire, Oxfordshire, Swindon, and possibly other neighbouring authorities. The full details are actually in the paper, with the final geography being expected to be confirmed in the summer/autumn 2026. Buckinghamshire Council is currently not prepared to join the Thames Valley SDS preparation work, so Berkshire, Oxfordshire and Swindon partners are progressing preparatory activities. A statutory strategic planning board is expected to be established through a secondary legislation in autumn 2026. Interim government is therefore needed before the formal board is in place. Some of the work already done on this strategy is government engagement and expressions of interest for funding, And when that was expressed, we acquired 750,000 of government funding across all three authorities, which has been awarded to support the initial stages with expectations for transparency, quarterly monitoring and evaluating reporting. Draft government proposals, early programme planning and work on strategic spatial baseline. As I say, it's a very high level report at the moment because we don't have the secondary legislation, so we don't exactly know what all the details are going to be. Bracknell Forest is proposed as the accountable body. It's going forward. They'll be responsible for holding the funds, administering payments, financial reporting, and hosting any dedicated SDS site staff. The partnership would operate through a shadow governance structure. This includes a shadow member board, senior officer oversight, a hosted programme management office and strategic planning unit, work streams and interim accountable body arrangements. It's all very technical, I appreciate, but it's actually just to get that process in place and all the infrastructure in place before we get that secondary legislation. The SDS is expected to support strategic planning for housing, employment, infrastructure, climate resilience, nature recovery, active travel and access to services across the Thames Valley. It basically means we're going to hopefully be joined up right across the Thames Valley for all of those things rather than actually all trying to do our own thing. So the recommendations I'm asking from Executive today are to approve the establishment of the Thames Valley SDS partnership with Berkshire, Oxfordshire and Swindon authorities, approve the proposed pre-inception funding and resource arrangements, including Bracknell Forest Council acting as accountable body and host authority. At the current time, Oxford is doing that job, but it's going to be moved to Bracknell Forest. Agree the interim governance, monitoring and assurance arrangements until the statutory strategic planning board is established with a secondary legislation. Agree the working arrangements for developing the SDS, including the programming planning, etc. It's all in the report and just recommend the report, Chairman. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I mean, you think this is a good thing. Hear me out. Government come through with all sorts of things they demand of councils. What occurs to me is we can do some good development planning across a region here and work in tandem or in association with them. So that does look like a bit of a win to me, as opposed to an exercise that government have cooked up. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but what's the benefit of all this work?
That's exactly it. You know, I've been banging on about this for quite some time now. I actually think this is a very good thing. It will allow us to look at things like housing and infrastructure right across the Thames Valley. So we're talking about all of Berkshire, all of Oxfordshire. So we're talking about Harwell, AWE, we're talking about the two universities, Oxford and Reading, with the Swindon, car industry, all of those things in the same group of councils, all working together to establish something that actually means we're going to, look at it as a whole rather than actually individual councils doing things. So I think it's a great thing.
Okay, good, because a lot of work will go into it. I'll keep you for later, Councillor McCann, and I've got councillors on there.
Thank you, Leader. I'm conscious of a report, and I've got it open on my phone in front of me at the moment. There was a press report, 19th of June, and I will quote the first bit without going on for too long. Politicians and business leaders across the Thames Valley were furious on Wednesday as a project to create a powerful region-wide mega council was kicked into the long grass, effectively Oxfordshire. I realise this is slightly different, but do you honestly believe that the same people are going to play nicely in the sandpit when it comes to this? Because from what I read in the rest of that report, it really didn't feel like it was going to be that sort of outcome.
I think if I take it because I was involved in those discussions.
I noticed your name wasn't listed in the quotes there from, Leader.
Well,
certainly not in the article that I saw anyway.
Chose to be very, very supportive of the idea of a foundation strategic authority. That would be on the same sort of geography that we're seeing here, as you know. So that's probably, ones who said no were the newsworthy ones, perhaps. Will they play nicely? I think it's in their interest to, in terms of planning management, planning, development, design. It will be interesting again with an incoming Prime Minister we believe might be Andy Burnham, who's been a mayor of Manchester, who might just say roll mayors out across the region and across the country and tell them what good looks like in terms of geography. So yes, I think they'll play to deliver this. And I don't think the discussion on the Devo is over by any means. Councillor Gaines, would you add anything to that?
Just that, yes, I hope that they will play nicely. They have so far. I mean, basically, we're looking at slightly more sort of a wider area in as much as we're talking about things sort of for infrastructure and housing, etc. So I think if we don't join in, we'll be on the back foot because we'll actually be lagging behind the other authorities. So if we don't actually agree to this, and that's not holding the executive to hostage, but if we don't agree to this, then we actually will be the ones left out of the sandpit, as it were. So I think it's very important that we are in the sandpit, and I think we will play nicely because we're all going to benefit from this.
Thank you. Yeah, and please don't think I'm not suggesting we shouldn't be at the table when the conversations are taking place. I absolutely think we should as an authority. It's absolutely essential. My reading between the lines take from the article as I read it was that everybody had their bag of sweets and nobody was sharing. And I think that's the concern, is that there are some heavyweight players out there, mostly to the north of us, and that goes whether it's in local authority or local healthcare or whatever it might be. So I wish you well sitting at that table, but I think those are the concerns that I've got from what I read in the article. Is it seemed like there was maybe there was an acceptance of going so far, but not all the way. But it certainly didn't come across that way. But happy to be at the table.
I think this is table. Yeah, I think this is a slightly looser sort of group of people of councils. I think yeah, I think it will work for that reason. It's not sort of so tied to the actual council. But on the other hand, the government have actually insisted we do this. So it's not something we've actually got a choice in.
Councillor Sommer is making a point. You do it with enthusiasm or not. We will see and we will report back on its development. So thank you. Councillor McCann, anything to add? Yeah.
Just briefly, Chair. With the government withdrawal of funding from the local enterprise partnerships and the clear directional steerage from government on this is how they want it to work, because LET clearly was a bit of a curate's egg. It worked in some places, and I suspect this will be the same. It will work in some places, it won't in others. But if we go in with our best endeavours, then if it does fail, it won't be because we didn't try hard, Chair. Thank you.
And that helps, Councillor Sommer. Councillor Abbs?
Yeah, I think we have to be at the table. I think your comment about Mr. Burnham and forcing mayors on us, I think we have to look at Mr. Burnham's record, and it's pretty abysmal. In fact, he's only got where he's got because the Conservatives give him all the tools to do it, and they then gave him $1 billion to implement the B network. I think we're slightly over $1 billion, 438 on new buses. If by being at the table, we're going to be offered the similar amounts of money, then great, we're in for it, aren't we? Chances are, sorry? No, it was comment. It wasn't question, sorry. But we were discussing, hope and, I'm fully supportive that we need to be at the table. I'm really doubtful that it will change the funding strategy of central government about shifting our money up north.
That wasn't a question at all, but well
that was
done.
a statement.
Do you agree with me? I'm really doubtful that, we get it. Thank you. Anybody else want to comment? Thank you for the work on this, Councillor Gaines. Quite a lot of work coming up, and to Claire Lawrence and her team as well. So, all those in favour? Thank you. And then we have the item 13, which is a noted item, but this is Councillor Clark.
Thank you. It's actually Councillor Codling as well, because this is a strategy that covers everyone, children and adults. And it's a point I've made a few times in the past and a point I will make again, I'm sure, at several points in the future, that children become adults and our strategies and framework should take account of that. The issues that children face then become the issues that adults face, which we need to ensure that we look after. What we are providing here is an emphasis on where we should be looking. Up until now, we have been reacting to crises rather than trying to prevent them. We want to be able to provide services early where people need help, mental health and wellbeing support, prevention and diversion from crime, and encouraging community interventions. We want to give people the tools to live independently with reablement and rehabilitation, support for complex needs, and long-term condition management. We already do many of these things, but this paper refocuses our resources in these areas and encourages us to move away from a reactive crisis-led system, as already mentioned, which has been used in the past. I hope you'll take the time to read the paper and take note of the strategy for people's entire lives.
Thank you for that. Do you have well, you don't need a seconder on this, do you? I've got Councillor Stewart indicating, so I'll take you down, Joe, if I may.
Lovely, thank you. I think the paper itself and the strategy are really interesting. And I'm really pleased to see that we're taking that brave option where we're going all in with this and we're making sure that it's a fully overarching whole system preventative approach, which is fabulous. In the accompanying report, I love the examples. So it's in section 5, I think, where it talks about person X and child B and things like that. That's really useful, and I'd absolutely encourage officers to use that type of example giving in all of the documents that they use, because when you are not involved in adult social care, it can be quite easy to get lost in amongst terminology, and I think those were really good. So I wanted to say how pleased I was with those. I do have a however. The strategy itself, so staying strong for adults, I'm afraid to say there are quite a number of errors in it. I'm not going to go through them all here. This is not about me marking homework. And I will share them, what I found with Councillor Clark and Paul Coe as well, so that they know. And back to the good stuff again. I really like some of the actions that are described. I love the one about neighbourhood walkabouts, because actually, why wouldn't you use your members who know their areas and their knowledge to help in your area? So if you know that you have perhaps a situation where there's a housing estate where there might be a certain level of deprivation or issues with antisocial behaviour, all those sorts of things, use the members, the ward members, to help with those. So I think that's fabulous. And also the health and all policies approach across the council, which is the one that I mentioned earlier, which I'm also fully supportive of. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the lower level deliverable plan. And within the documents, it does say, how can you map progress when actually you might be preventing something from happening? I do understand it's tricky, but we do need to try. Thank you.
I think the question is, will you try?
And if I could just come back, Councillor Stewart, absolutely. I think we need to carry on reporting back on this.
Okay. Members? Noted. Thank you. Councillor Beck.
Thank you, Leader. Who do I put this question to? It really relates to children.
We'll try and take it. I'm going to try and take your member's question in a moment as well.
Okay.
So we'll do our best. Yes. And Mr. Millam is here as well, I believe. Yeah.
The report speaks about consultation, engagement, collaboration, and co-production with members in developing the strategies. A question I would have to Lead Member for Children is to explain what role members played in shaping these strategies.
Fair point. Mr. Millam should probably have some idea. Mr. Millen?
Thank you, Leader. Not wanting to overcommit to something, we might need to write back to confirm what the co-production has been. Mr. Rate, I wonder if you have an answer on that you might be able to share as well.
Thank you, Councillor Burke. The strategies for children are still in development, but there has been a variety of workshops, surveys and co-production events that have taken place with involving a variety of parents, parent carer forum and others in that sense. And then there has been some engagement with members in a variety of different settings in the communities that they have served. Thatcham, Greenham, for example.
Thank you, Mr. Rate. So going on from that, question, this is for members. Do you think that the approach that Mr. Rate outlined, which I think is exemplary, true co-production, do you think that that approach should apply generally in developing strategies specifically around children?
That sounds very reasonable, but I'm going to consult the portfolio holder before I answer. It sounds very reasonable.
It's disappointing that
that
nobody here can. I mean, you spoke on behalf of Councillor Foote earlier on when there was a public question. I'm disappointed that you're not able to respond to me.
I said it was very reasonable.
Okay, good. Can I carry on then?
Oh, you want more?
Yeah. Okay. I do. So what I don't understand then, given your stated position, the position of the executive, of the administration, why you didn't follow that approach in the recent Section 19 NEOTAS policy, which was decided by individual member decision.
Are we? Which one are you talking about? Are we still on this item, or have you? Are we still on this prevention strategy? Yes. So you don't believe that was followed?
The position you stated that around consultation when it comes to developing policies doesn't seem to have been followed recently in a very, very important policy. No.
I think you're making a broad point, and I'm happy to take it up in another place.
Okay.
You could write to me about it, and I would take it very seriously. I'm sticking to this policy tonight.
So I accept that, but I'll just leave you with this thought. This policy sets out how you're going to develop strategies and policies related to children and adults. So it is relevant, but but what I hope to see is consistent implementation.
I'm not amplifying anything I've said already. Thank you.
We have a point of order, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. I note that you've allowed Councillor Bowick to contribute to that item despite the fact that he has members' questions on it. I would just ask you to explain why I've not been afforded the same courtesy throughout the meeting.
Do you want to ask a question on this item?
My question stands.
Do you have a question in the members' questions on this item?
No, I'm asking you to explain why you've allowed Councillor Bowick to contribute to this item despite he having member questions when you've not allowed me the same courtesy relating to previous items. I think it's inconsistent and I'd like to know why.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm moving on.
What is the reason, Leader?
I'm moving on.
That's not an answer, Leader.
Councillor McKinnon, when we get to the members' questions, which are quite soon now, and you've got quite a few in there, what I am not comfortable with, and you are challenging the executive all the time, myself particularly, that you believe this should be a scrutiny meeting. And I've said to you privately and in public, executive is not a scrutiny meeting. So tonight, last week, you put in a whole load of questions, which is constitutionally sound. And we would take those questions. Okay. What we won't do, I won't do, is say, well, you've got all your members' questions here, and when we get the item, you can throw in another half dozen questions, Councillor McKinnon. I'm not going to let you have it both ways. And it is a question, hold on, it is a question of scale. Councillor Bowick had one member's question, and on this, you've got several, probably about 10 or 11 here, and well done. Use that constitution to try and develop the scrutiny you are desperate to do in executive meeting. But
And
you're
you're
not going to
welcome.
have, and now you're interrupting me, but you're not going to have two bites of the cherry at every executive meeting. You have one bite when your members' questions comes up. That's how I'm moving forward. Thank you for that. I think we're noting this.
May I make a
item.
request, Leader?
I think we're noting this item.
Leader,
And we're
point of order?
moving on to members' questions.
Point of order, Leader? A quick request.
No, I think
quick
we're moving
request.
on to
A
members'
simple one.
questions.
Take about 10 seconds.
I'm moving on to members' questions.
4 seconds.
So question A.
Sorry,
is
sorry,
doing-
Leader. I guess you didn't see my hand waving around. Are we really? Can I just make a small observation, please, or a small question? I know you've wanted to move on, but
Well,
it was a valid question on
Really,
this paper.
you did have questions on this strategy earlier, didn't you?
No.
Was it not on this one? Okay,
No,
all right,
previously.
off you go. Off you go.
Thank you very much. Assistive technology or telecare. I was looking for references. Yeah, it's Councillor Brooks. You've heard me talk about AI and I'm hoping for a utopian future. This is one of the few areas where I think we can start to get. It's right out to 2030, but I didn't see any mention of it. Have I just missed it?
Okay. So the question is, and we were only talking about this earlier today, weren't we, Councillor Clark?
I'll pass over to Paul Coe.
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. What the reassurance I'd like to give is we've got plans coming on stream for a couple of really exciting digital AI kind of initiatives. I haven't doubled up on it in this strategy because it was in train, it's on the way, and so I just I felt like we'd covered it already.
Yeah, I did bring it up at transformation anyway, but sorry for saying it again.
It won't be forgotten. It won't be forgotten. Thank you. Thank you, members, for noting the report. Well done to everybody. I am committed to come back to you, Councillor Bowick, on the broader point you made. So, members' questions. What's the time now, Nikki? Let's put the 30 minutes, 60 minutes then, I think. You've got 30 there. Okay. Question A then, from Councillor McKinnon to Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Chair. So Councillor McKinnon, this is a question that you asked of me at the scrutiny session this week on Monday, and you said that you'd take the question there. Would you like me to repeat the answer?
Yes, please, Councillor Poole.
Of course, happy to. So the comment was noted within the executive summary heading has been removed as the strategies forward provide sufficient summary of the document, as such was not considered necessary. The Think Local social value strategy is based on significant changes in legislation, especially the Procurement Act of 2023 from the Public Contract Regulations 2015, based on European directives, and the change to Section 17 of the Local Government Act of 1988. The previous policy still referred COVID and was showing its age. It is more of a paper exercise and a refresh, although some elements are similar, admittedly. It reflects the legal changes from the Procurement Act of 2023 and establishes a social value grant fund that provides greater access to the community to social value commitments. Do you have a supplementary?
May I? Of course I do, Councillor Poole. Oh, I feel like that guy at the end of the Shawshank Redemption. I've just been released. I'm free. Councillor Poole, is it your position then that executive summaries for strategies would always be vacant because they involve a political statement? And are you aware of any other strategies that have that situation?
No, that is not my position. I think the executive summary is typically at the forward of the document. And I'm not aware of any documents presently that carry a political statement.
Thank you, Councillor Poole.
Okay, I'm glad you feel free. I think I feel like the guy crawling through the pipe still. Moving swiftly on. I will give you
We'll
an
meet up
answer.
in Mexico together one day, you know.
Hey
We'll have a
ho,
beer.
hey ho. Look out for that oak tree with a tin under it. Okay, Councillor Boat, I'm going to give you a prepared answer for your question here. I may struggle on a supplementary, but let's see how we get on. The reduction in the recorded uptake of the disadvantaged 2-year-old entitlement, EL2, has coincided with the expansion of the working parent entitlement. A number of families are claiming the working parent entitlement, but have not applied for EL2, despite also being likely to meet the eligibility criteria for the disadvantaged entitlement. And from a parent's perspective, there's little immediate benefit in making a separate EL2 application when they are already accessing funded childcare through the working parent entitlement. However, holding an EL2 eligibility code provides greater security for families, as entitlement can continue if parents' circumstances change, for example, through loss of employment or maternity leave. To address this issue, the early years team has begun raising awareness with both providers and parents about the importance of applying for EL2 for the first 15 funded hours where families are eligible. As staff capacity increases within the team, from September, more work will be done on this. Analysis of the spring term data identified 24 2-year-olds who were accessing working parent entitlement funding only, but were also eligible for the early years pupil premium. As the earnings threshold for the early years pupil premium is lower than that for the EL2, these families would be highly likely to have qualified for EL2 had they applied. If these eligible children had been recorded through the EL2 route, uptake would have been approximately 72% rather than the reported 61.4%. And while this remains below the 75% target and demonstrates further work is required to identify and support eligible families, it suggests that current participation is closer to the target than the published figures indicate. I hope that helps.
It does help. Thank you, Leader. And what I would really like is an assurance that vulnerable families are not being missed by the service.
I'll ask Mr. Millen for that, some sort of response on that in a moment. But, you know, as a further measure, we're considering adding a consent section to our parents' declaration forms to allow the local authority to undertake EL2 eligibility checks alongside the EYPP checks, which would enable us to identify and support eligible families more effectively and ensure that take-up figures more accurately reflect the number of children accessing the entitlement. We anticipate that these actions, alongside continued promotion through providers and family support services, family hubs, will improve take-up during 26-27, with progress monitored through the termly eligibility and participation data. I think we're happy with that assurance, Mr. Millen.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Councillor, it's an incredibly complex funding arrangement for families to understand. And so to your point, how we're engaging with our most vulnerable families is the focus then from September onwards.
Thank you, Mr. Manlon.
Okay.
Thank you, Leader. Well done.
Thank you. And then we've got C, which is Councillor McKinnon to Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Councillor McKinnon, for your question. So how many reports have used AI in the last 12 months? If I'm really honest, I can't give you that number, and I've got a bit of an explanation here for you. So the council does not hold data that records whether individual reports, strategies, or committee papers presented to executive or council meetings have been created using generative AI tools. Consequently, we're unable to provide a figure for the number of reports that have been produced with the assistance of generative AI. The council has adopted a controlled approach to the use of artificial intelligence. Staff are permitted to use approved AI tools, including Microsoft 365 Copilot, to support activities such as drafting, editing, and summarizing content, subject to the council's artificial intelligence policy. That policy requires users to remain responsible for checking outputs, verifying accuracy, and exercising professional judgment before content is published or submitted as official council documentation. Human review and approval remain mandatory in all circumstances. The council's approved AI tools operate within the council's Microsoft 365 enterprise environment, providing protections around security, governance and data handling that are not available with publicly accessible consumer AI services. The Council does not rely on AI generative content without human oversight, and officers remain accountable for the accuracy and quality of the reports presented to decision-making bodies. In addition, the Council is bringing forward a formal artificial intelligence policy that sets out clear parameters for the safe and secure and ethical use of AI across the organisation. The policy establishes requirements around governance, data protection, accuracy, accountability and appropriate use, and will be supported by officer guidance and training so that staff understand the opportunities and limitations of AI tools in a public sector context. So that's the response I've received from the officers. So I do know that the officers across the council have also received advice and guidance on how to use 365 for their work purposes. And we also use many tools in the production of reports, such as Magic Notes within adult social care. Do you have a supplementary?
I do, thank you, Councillor Poole. There can't be that many reports or strategies that have been to Executive Council within the last 12 months. Each of those reports comes with an author attached. And I also can't imagine that it would be very hard to ask those authors if they've used AI. So I'm going to ask you, if I put together a spreadsheet of all of the reports that have been to Executive Council in the last 12 months with their authors, would you be so good as to ask them if they've used generative AI tools in generating the reports that were published?
No, I'm not sure we would.
Thank you, Councillor Poole, for that. Oh, sorry, it was Councillor Brooks that answered that.
Through my voice.
Why would you not, Councillor Brooks? Sorry, Councillor Poole, you had a chance.
Yeah, I'm not sure we would. We'll consider it. That's it.
Thanks, Councillor Poole. Nearly got there.
Question D, I've got a written answer. I hope it does a sort of job. So we are absolutely clear that our primary focus is on improving outcomes for children and not managing performance against a numerical target. First, it's important to recognise the context behind our data. In a small authority such as West Berkshire, a single large sibling group can have a disproportionate impact on the repeat child protection plan figures. This makes the indicator inherently volatile and means it must always be interpreted alongside qualitative practice information. Secondly, while the report notes that our current target sits below the South East average and may need review, it is not about lowering expectations. Rather, it is about ensuring that any target we set is meaningful, evidence-based, and reflects both national learning and local context. We do not want to incentivise practice that is overly risk-averse or that avoids replanning, which is clearly in a child's best interest. We're assured of the strength of practice locally, including a robust multi-agency decision-making, improved risk analysis, safety planning, stronger step-down and support arrangements to prevent re-escalation. At the same time, we fully acknowledge that some repeat child protection plans are both inevitable and appropriate. Children's circumstances can change, and where risks re-emerge, a further plan is the right safeguarding response. Our focus is therefore on understanding the reason behind repeat plans through audit and learning, ensuring timeliness and quality of initial interventions, strengthening sustained change within families, not just short-term improvement. To ensure this remains firmly outcome-focused, we have completed deep dive audits and quality assurance activity, not just headline data. We know that repeat referrals are often associated with a domestic abuse, as an example. Reviewing the target is about making sure we are measuring the right thing in the right way. Our ambition remains unchanged. Fewer children needing repeat protection plans because risks have been reduced sustainably and safely the first time. We're also confident that the development of the multi-agency child protection team as part of the Families First Partnerships reforms will strengthen this area further. Now you can tell I was reading that, but I hope it hit the mark. Do you have a supplement?
Well, thank you, Leader. And I'm pleased to hear the good news from the service in terms of managing the issue. And I had no doubt when I posed this question that wasn't already the case. I spent my career in operational roles, and I know that a stretching target is a good thing. And when targets are missed, if there is underlying if there's a rationale, if there's an explanation, then that's not necessarily then that is a good thing as well. I'm concerned that lowering the target will have an unintended consequence of diminishing the focus.
So you're asking me the question, would I be concerned that lowering the target would?
Yes.
Okay, so we got a question finally, because I helped you phrase it. So it's an interesting one, this, isn't it? Because you've been here long enough to remember when I sat there grumbling about missed targets, and people like you, and I remember Councillor Stansfield said, we put high targets here, and yes, we miss them, but we shoot for the moon, sort of thing. So it's always a balance, isn't it, between what the target is it attainable, or is it too low, or is it too low? And so I think we've probably got these about right, but we'll have to monitor them. And that's the best as I can do without Councillor Codling in the room. Mr. Ray, anything to add to that?
Ultimately, we need to do the right thing by children. So if the risk escalates, we need to bring those children back onto child protection. That's the really important matter, that children are safeguarded. Having stretched targets, I think, are, yes, very important, but I think as your original answer said, sometimes groups of families, small authorities can have quite big statistical changes with actually relatively small numbers. So I think the thing I would hold on to is it's about children. We absolutely just need to safeguard children.
Okay, question E then from Councillor McKinnon to Councillor Pemberton. Thank you.
Yes, thanks very much for your question, Councillor McKinnon. I'm happy to advise that the council has taken steps to work with communities in both Lambourn and Theale to identify local projects and support their delivery in both villages since 2023. This includes major local initiatives such as the neighbourhood plan and the approach to nutrient mitigation to enable development whilst protecting the River Lambourn, in addition to supporting local jobs, new developments in Theale, and identifying potential key local community infrastructure as part of the West Berkshire Council's local infrastructure delivery plan. Further work has been undertaken to establish how a master plan or action plan for each village could be created in a way that is community-led, informed by local stakeholder engagement, and which places an emphasis on local deliverables, utilising our existing in-house resources rather than commissioning external consultants. We remain committed to exploring and supporting our communities and will work with local stakeholders to establish how we can best support the creation of these plans. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do. Thank you, Councillor Pemberton, for that answer. The manifesto specifically promised to commission master plans for Theale and Lambourn. Can you, and I hope you get the chance to answer this, we'll see, you never know, but can you confirm whether they have been commissioned or give a clear commitment that they will be commissioned before the end of this electoral term?
So our manifesto promised to produce master plans and commission work for them. So it expressed clear support for master planning work. And whilst I accept that no formal master plans have been commissioned or adopted in these villages just yet, without wishing to couch my language, to do master planning work, you don't necessarily need to call it a master plan. When we look at some of the stuff that we've done in other areas, for example, Thatcham and Newbury, some of those big strategic pieces that the master plan was trying to address were things like housing. It was things like planning, community facilities, health and well-being outcomes, and things like that. And if you'll bear with me for a moment, I'll give you a flavour of some of the things that we've done in both Theale and Lambourn to support those aims. In addition to the neighbourhood plans. In addition to the neighbourhood plan and the nutrient mitigation strategy in Lambourn, we've supported rural mobile coverage, particularly in Upper Lambourn. We've supported new library events and activities. We've got improvements to the gym at the Lambourn Centre, which should go live in October of this year. We've provided sensory circuits for children with SEND requirements. And we've done a huge piece of work through VIA, which supports those dealing with drug addictions at the Lambourne Centre. Within Thiel, we've identified key local community infrastructure to support the infrastructure delivery plan. We've done outreach programmes through Everyone Active. We've also done that in Lambourne. New library events and activities as well, and work to identify improvements to sports pitches through our new playing pitch strategy. It's no secret, Councillor McKinnon, that this council is in financial distress. And what we've chosen to prioritise is those community-led officer resource pieces of work, building on those initiatives to get the best possible return without having to commission potentially quite expensive consultants. And we absolutely remain committed to supporting the development of those locally owned plans with stakeholders to get deliverable, tangible benefits for residents. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Pemberton. It's a long-winded way of saying no, but thank you.
Okay, you've got the next one as well, F, to Councillor Cottingham.
Thank you, Councillor McKinnon, for your question. Yes, the council will publish a year-by-year reconciliation and resulting outputs. Do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, I do, Councillor Cottingham. Thank you for that clear answer to the question. Can you confirm that when it is published, whether it will reconcile all 4 sources line by line, and whether any differences will be clearly explained rather than simply presented as figures?
Yes, that's what a reconciliation does.
Thank you, Councillor Cottingham. See, Justin, that's how you do it.
Well then, that's G to Councillor Cottingham again.
Thank you once again, Councillor McKinnon, for your question. Yes, on behalf of the Section 151 officer to my left, I can confirm that the risks associated with the DSG position and future modelling are under review as part of the MTFS refresh. Do you have a follow-up question?
I do. Thank you, Councillor. It's good when 2 accountants talk to each other, isn't it? Just get straight down to the point.
We're doing well, Councillor.
We are brilliantly, Councillor Brooks. I'm enjoying my freedom. Don't put me back under chains. So the DSG risk and future modelling are under review as part of the MTFS refresh. Is the previous assessment still considered sufficient? And does the council still regard the DSG deficit as a potential threat to solvency?
So, as you know, the government have announced a refund of the DSG, the 90%. So we've submitted that, and we're waiting that return back.
I bet you'll allow this, Leader. When are we going to hear that? Do you know?
September, so the new school term.
Fingers crossed, please, because government do slip these things, and September would be good, I think, providing the response is a good one. Next one is you again, Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you once again for your question. The answer is yes. Do you have a follow-up question?
It's not the answer I was expecting, Councillor Cottingham. You've completely blindsided me there. I had something prepared to say, what do you mean no? Can I ask for your thoughts on that grim reality?
Yeah, see, the way in which I look at it, it's been a conscious decision of this current government to not fund local government correctly. So they've made a decision through their unfair funding formula to take 30 million out of West Berkshire's funding for the next couple of years or so, as we discussed in this chamber. Good illustration is business rates, which we only retain 13p in the pound.
Okay, next one up is you again, Councillor McKinnon, but this is to Councillor Clark. I in Councillor McKinnon's name.
Thank you, Councillor McKinnon. I will answer your question, your very straightforward question, with a bit of important context. I'm sure you remember very clearly back from my answer to your question on waiting time in February 2025. Waiting times have gone up, and this is a complex area. You know that the council has been working in an extremely awkward financial position. The best way of reducing waiting times is to employ more staff to deal with the care. But this costs extra money, which we haven't had. We have seen an increase by almost a quarter in the number of new requests for help since 2023 context. We have also seen a 36% increase in the number of referrals relating to safeguarding concerns since 2023.
And this is some of our most complicated work, which quite rightly needs a lot of staff time. Finally, we have also dealt with issues created by the insolvency of NRS, who you may remember were providing an imported trusted assessor service, providing care equipment for people who needed it across West Berkshire. It was a real challenge to ensure that people who required care equipment weren't affected by this closure. And again, this has diverted resources away from other functions within adult social care. These things have meant that we have had to roll up our sleeves and get involved in looking carefully at how things are run under the bonnet. But it also means that we have not been able to achieve the improvements we aspired to in our manifesto of 2023 yet. In the context of the discoveries we have made on finance, we have done a good job of managing the extra demands and challenges. We have also introduced new quality assurances to make sure that all cases are now rated according to urgency and risk. This means that we can make sure that those at greatest need get the fastest attention. Now, onto the detail you've requested. The average waiting time for an initial adult social care assessment in May 2023 was 32 days. The average waiting time today is 53 days. The number of residents awaiting assessment in May 2023 was 426. Today, it is 558. The number of residents waiting more than 28 days for assessment in May 2023 was 315. Today, it is 467. The average time between an assessment and commencement of a care package is not something we can answer at the moment. After replacing our outdated care management software, which was one of the first things we started when we took control of the council, we're currently developing reports which will give us better insight and understanding. We expect we will be able to provide these figures at a future meeting. I'd encourage all members to look possibly again at our recently published Adult Social Care CQC self-assessment, which goes into more detail about the many improvements we have made since taking over the administration, which we can be quite rightly proud of. We have not yet been able to deliver what we planned in 2023, but I hope I've explained clearly why this has not been possible. I am pleased to confirm that we have now agreed £150,000 in additional funding, and we'll be employing additional social workers to focus on this important area of work. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do. Thank you, Councillor Clark, for that very detailed answer. I've just been doing some quick calculations there. The waiting times have gone up from 32 to 53. That's a 66% increase, which seems to be a lot higher than the increase in demand that you cited. So would you not accept that demand alone doesn't account for that worsening position? And do you commit to identifying the capacity, process or management factors behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I think the important thing, we're all agreed, reducing waiting times is a good thing to do.
They've gone up by 65%.
And we are addressing it, as you've been told, through more social workers, £150,000 invested in that. And I think, Councillor Clark, we need to look at this again in executive. Mr. Coe, 6 months' time, please? Yeah, and I'm hoping that we will have started to come down with those waiting times. Next one up, Councillor McKinnon to Councillor Gawley. That's Jay. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Councillor McKinnon. The number of residents paying for garden waste in May 23 was 33,045. The annual revenue raised in 22-23 was 1.745 million. The number of residents paying for garden waste in 26 at the end of March 26 was 32,230. The annual revenue raised for 25-26 was just over 2 million. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do. Thank you, Councillor Gurley. So I think, as I mentioned in my question, you promised to phase out the, as you call it, the green bin tax. So 3 years on, the charge has gone from £58 to £55 for a Band E property. So that's a reduction of £1 a year. And as your figures just suggested, the council is raising more for it overall. At a rate of £1 a year, that charge will stay until 2081, which I think is about 14 local elections. Is that really what residents understood by phasing out?
I would highlight that the manifesto committed to doing it and targeting the lowest council tax bands first, and A, B and C, and as you say, D, are all paying less than they were in May 2023.
Next one, Kay, Councillor McKinnon to Councillor Cottingham.
Thank you once again for your question. The report was produced prior to the completion of all necessary accounting adjustments, as we discussed earlier. Therefore, an indicative position in respect of the management accounting impact is included in the report, with confirmation of the final figures being reported through the Treasury outturn report as per section 2.5. The current projected EFS figure for 25-26 is 16.8 million versus the original 20 million request. The exact amount will be confirmed once the accounts have been signed off by our external auditors and the EFS amount agreed by MHCLG. Do you have a follow-up question?
I do, Councillor Cottingham, thank you for that. So if I heard you correctly, the answer gives a final EFS figure of £16.8 million. That figure wasn't in the report before executive tonight, and it wasn't in the report before scrutiny on Monday. Do you accept then that members at both of those meetings are being asked to consider the outturn without the key number needed to understand how the year was actually closed?
I've just spoken to my 151 officer. We feel that the number was in the reports, but apologies if it wasn't. I'm under the impression it was in there.
I know you wouldn't try and blindside me, so we'll have a look and I won't push you any further. Let's find out.
We'll come back to you, but looking for it in the report. My understanding was in there. It's in 7.3.
Of which one, exec or scrutiny?
The financial performance report, which is in both documents.
I'll check, and if it's there, I'll withdraw that remark.
Next one is L. This is to Councillor Cottingham again, from Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you once again for your question. The financial performance report was prepared before several accounting adjustments, particularly IFRS 16 lease accounting, as previously discussed, were fully finalised, as these adjustments affect the CFR and liability benchmark. A complete picture of the borrowing implications, including CFR and liability benchmark, can be scrutinised at the next Audit and Risk Management Committee when the Treasury Management Outturn report is presented. Do you have a follow-up question?
I do, and you can probably guess what it's going to be. So I think we've got agreement on this one, that the CFR and liability benchmark weren't available at scrutiny, not available tonight. So why are those papers being brought to scrutiny, and scrutiny is the venue for scrutiny, of course, before we can see the full debt consequences?
So, apologies, there was the delay in getting external information into those reports, so it was a matter of timeline. No other reason but the timeline getting that external information.
Scrutiny, right?
It will come to the Audit and Risk Committee, which is a form of scrutiny. So you'll have a lot of time to be able to go through that report all evening if you wish.
Okay, we're on to M, which is again to Councillor Cottingham from Councillor McKinnon.
Once again, thank you very much for your questions. The schemes with budgets proposed for the reprofiling are detailed in Appendix A of the financial performance report and includes a high level of summary as to why slippage is requested. The financial performance report primarily reflects the level of expenditure against the planned capital programme budget, and where a project manager has requested slippage to support specific project delivery in subsequent financial years. The report is not a project status report. The PMO will be advised, Project Management Office, but be advised of the ask and review project status reporting arrangements. Members are advised of the commercially sensitive information that if a project slips, what are the revenue impacts, such as a delay in income generation? This is identified and assessed to ascertain impacts on the revenue budget as part of the corporate budget setting cycle. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, Councillor Cottingham, I do. You'll you'll spot that a few of my questions have the same theme here, but this one actually is a little bit different. You mentioned just there, I took note of it, the financial report is not a project status report. Okay, well, I accept that. But how are, again, at scrutiny or here, how are members meant to scrutinise, was it 14.3 million of capital slippage without knowing what went wrong, who's been affected, and what it will cost to fix?
So within there was a detailed list of projects. Obviously, some items were regarding the financial impacts are commercially sensitive because we don't, as you said in this chamber, we don't want to disclose to suppliers, etc., that a particular project we have huge financial dependency upon them hitting their supply contracts. So yes, you make a fair point over getting, what is the financial impact, but from a member prioritisation perspective, I'd far rather look at the memorandum reporting of that, whether it's a 5k issue, 50k issue, or £500,000 issue.
Okay.
So we can come up with a sort of traffic light reporting of that.
Okay. N to you again, Councillor Cottingham from Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you once again for your question. The council's financial records that the total expenditure in 25-26 on consultancy, interim management, agency staff, professional advice, and external delivery support was 5.3 million in agency costs. This is a material improvement from the previous administration's final financial year in office of approximately 12 million. The aforementioned 5.3 million includes 0.4 million for senior interim roles, 4.7 million covering establishment posts, 0.2 million supporting transformation activity. In addition, there is a further 2.2 million of expenditure was categorised as consultancy, comprising of 1 million for general consultancy, 0.1 million for consultancy for transformation, 1 million for professional advice, a further 100k professional advice for transformation. The transformation funded projects were supported by business cases. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do, thank you. Now, we've heard from the leader and yourself before that the council's getting a grip on agency spend and external consultancy. I think your answer suggests the opposite. Can you tell us how much of that spend was approved before the spend panel was introduced, how much of it went through spend panel afterwards, and how much has delivered a measurable saving?
Right, so certain element of this is going to be business as usual. So from a strategic perspective, we were always going to need agency staff to cover sickness. Also, as you're well aware, we still have 3 care homes which cover this area. As far as I'm concerned, everything which is for consultancy does have the appropriate approval through the PO process.
And although you seem to think, Councillor McKinnon, this may be going the wrong direction, we have about 115 external workers now. When we took over, it's 270.
Thank you.
Question O.
Could you confirm, Leader, if the savings are measured?
Cottingham. Councillor Cottingham. O, please.
I will answer that question. Yes, savings are measured. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Cottingham.
Right, so thank you for your question. Yes, there is a need for clearer financial risk reporting, especially in adult and children's social care. The quarterly financial report formats are currently under review with a view to providing greater clarity as to the key financial risk areas, savings, delivery, and the status of key mitigations. Thank you. Do you have a follow-up question?
I do, Councillor Cottingham, and thank you for that refreshingly honest answer. When you do implement clearer financial risk reporting, can you confirm that you're going to show the unmitigated forecast position separately from assumed mitigations, so that members can see what the true risk is rather than the hoped for year-end position?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Pears, to me as Leader of Council. Yearly, the Council strategy is reviewed in order to remove the set of measures that those that have already been delivered. Departments also will have the opportunity to recommend changes to existing measures in the way I described during the item itself. These changes may relate to their phrasing, their target, or their removal. In all cases, justification is provided to inform the executive in its decisions. Said measures are presented in the first portion of the performance report as updates to the progress made in strategy delivery. They are therefore different from those measures that refer to the outputs of key activities performed by local authority services. Those are presented in a separate section and out of the scope of the Council Strategy Refresh. They're defined in accordance with official statistics. We classify those measures as key operational performance indicators, COPIs, and benchmark them against national and regional numbers, subject to their availability. Do you have a supplementary?
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I do. Can you confirm that every missed, deteriorating or persistently off-track measure has a named owner, a recovery plan and a delivery date?
I think you saw some of that in the performance report. The owner, the recovery plan, it's in the performance report. So I can confirm that we always make sure that as we slip them, we know who is owning it and how it's being addressed.
Everyone?
To my knowledge, as I sit here now, yes.
Thank you.
And question Q is to me. And this is the performance report, Q4. The methodology for performance reporting in West Berkshire Council requires that measures be reported by exception. Therefore, every measure whose target is not met is highlighted in the quarterly reports. This has been a process going on many, many years. Accordingly, information on context, measures taken to improve performance, identification of potential challenges or obstacles, and or any planned future action is included by the respective department. A turnaround. You know, how are we addressing it? When are we going to come out of this? In the Q4 performance report, as in other quarterly reports, all information made available by services is presented in the comments section of the respective measure, and we saw that this evening. Do you have a supplement?
I do. Thank you, Leader, again. Again, I'm asking you for a commitment. Would you publish a separate tracker against the original 2023 commitments, just so that residents can see what's been delivered or delayed or dropped or reworded for transparency?
I don't know. I'll have a think about it. I'll consider it. Okay. We've got final one then from Councillor McKinnon to Councillor Clark.
Councillor R. Thank you, Councillor McKinnon. I suppose it's the pirates question. We would love to be able to provide new investment, additional staffing and consultancy support for this strategy, along with a whole raft of other things, but that would not be looking after our budget responsibly while providing the best service for our residents. As it is, you know that we have very large budgets associated with adult social care and children's services, alongside a good budget for public health. Part of those budgets will be used in a preventative manner within the allowable controls that budget managers have. This approach is about making sure that managers recognise the benefits of preventative work, giving it their focus, and deploy the resources in their control accordingly. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do. Thank you, Councillor Clark. And of course, I've got some sympathy for your budgetary position, but at the same time, we're claiming a whole system prevention approach. Now, to my mind, that should, at the very least, change where money, staff time and management focus is directed. If the report's got no financial implications, which budgets are going to be reprioritised, what activity is going to reduce, and how will members know whether prevention is actually reducing demand rather than just being an unfunded ambition?
The reporting back is a challenge, but as I said earlier on, we will be reporting back on this.
Thank you. Thank you, members. Thank you very much for your patience, your good nature, and